How's it going, everyone? Welcome into our latest TDR Cannabis in 5, presented by Dutchie. I'm your host, Shad Dales. Now, here's a headline that feels like it belongs exactly in 2025. Invasion of the homeland, how China is using illegal marijuana to build a criminal network across America. That is the official title of a congressional hearing happening this week. And while it sounds dramatic, it actually plays directly into the law and order environment we're living in. An environment where Washington is making clear the illicit cannabis market is a problem that needs attention, and that's a good thing. For the regulated industry, that's not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, it could be another step forward in separating legal operators from those who continue to undermine the system. So let's walk you through what this hearing is about, who's driving it, and why it matters, and how it could be a real boost to real cannabis reform. So let's get into our latest TDR Cannabis in 5 presented by Dutchie. All right, let's set the stage. This Thursday, the House Homeland Security Subcommittee on Oversight, Investigations, and Accountability will hold a hearing with that exact title, Invasion of the Homeland. The roots of this go back to language that Congress included in a federal spending bill earlier this year. That language directed agencies to investigate whether Chinese criminal groups or even the Chinese government itself are involved in illegal cannabis operations inside the United States. So the hearing is Washington's way of putting that issue on center stage. We don't yet know the full list of witnesses, but it's expected we'll hear from the law enforcement officials, maybe local sheriffs, and possibly regulators from states like Oklahoma and Maine, places where suspicious grow houses have been making major headlines. We've been reading about this a lot lately. And this is an important shift because when Congress frames cannabis as a homeland security issue, the conversation moves out of the margins. It becomes part of a broader national debate. And that leads directly into why this matters for the regulated industry. The reasons why is because for years, licensed cannabis operators have been saying the same thing. Their biggest competition isn't other legal businesses, it's the illicit market. Illegal growers don't pay taxes, they don't follow compliance rules, and in some cases, they may be backed by international networks. That then drags down prices, distort perception, and makes it harder for the legal market to succeed, which we're all very familiar with. So when Congress shines a spotlight at illicit operators, the message is clear. The problem isn't regulated cannabis. The problem is those who refuse to play by the rules. So this is good because it appears our voice is finally being heard. And then when you add to that, and here's where the timing gets interesting, President Trump has said he will be making a decision on cannabis rescheduling within the next few weeks. That was back last month. So if Congress is calling the illicit market a national security threat, that then strengthens the case for making sure the legal market is on firm ground. In other words, a crackdown on the illicit side could become the foundation for reforms that the industry has been waiting on. And yes, we've been waiting on this for a long time. So let's now really talk about the people pushing the narrative because their names, let's face it, actually matter. First up is Chuck Grassley of Iowa has claimed that thousands of Oklahoma marijuana businesses have Chinese fingerprints. Also, Senator Susan Collins of Maine has made similar claims about suspicious grow houses in her state. And prohibitionist groups like Smart Approaches to Marijuana are seizing actually on this angle too. They argue that legalization or rescheduling would only empower foreign criminal organizations. But let's hold on here. Here's the twist. The more they highlight illegal operators, the more they indirectly make the case for the regulated industry. Licensed businesses already go through background checks, ownership disclosures, seed-to-sale tracking, and financial audits. So the message cuts both ways. Yes, opponents of reform are using it as a scare tactic, but at the same time, it underlines that the real solution is to support the legal, compliant, tax-paying market that already exists. This is common sense. Now, we do need to point out what's missing here. So far, we don't know how many of these allegations are confirmed versus just suspected. We don't know how many licensed operators are actually involved, and we don't know whether this hearing will be about presenting facts or more about political theater. But really, with this administration and that being filtered down to Congress, it very much appears that we are in the times of law and order. So here's the key for the industry. Whether the details are thin or not, the outcome points in the same direction. More attention, let's face it, on the illicit market means more reason to build up the regulated one. Hello? And that's why many in this industry could actually welcome this kind of scrutiny. I know I do, and I'm sure you do as well. And let's also also look at the investor perspective. If Congress keeps drawing attention to foreign-linked illicit operations, legal companies will stand out as the safer bet. So that's transparent, they're audited, they pay taxes. That could help ease reputational risk and really attract more serious capital. And it also could push momentum for reform. Lawmakers can't say on one hand that foreign criminal groups are a threat and then ignore the regulated companies that are providing the alternative. If anything, the more they hammer on illicit operators, the more logical it becomes to strengthen the legal side. So really, for investors, the story isn't just about risk, it's about opportunity. Those who are already positioned in regulated companies could find themselves on the right side of this narrative, and it feels like we're headed down that road. So really, when we bring this all together, what happens after the hearing? A few things to keep an eye on here. First, it's the witness list. Who shows up to testify will tell us if this is fact-finding or just messaging. Second, follow-up legislation. Will members of Congress introduce bills that target foreign ownership, or will they pair that with measures to support compliant operators? Then third is the White House's response. This administration, as we know, has built itself on law and order. If Congress calls the illicit market a national security threat, it could give the president even more reason for the rescheduling process to bring it across the finish line. And finally is the investor reaction. Will this market see this as a threat to the industry or recognize it as another step towards separating the legal business from the illicit market? That response will be important to watch. So in conclusion in all this, and really the big picture, yes, the title of this hearing is dramatic, but it's 2025. And under this new law and order climate, it makes sense. For the regulated cannabis industry, this is not something to fear. It's a chance to show the difference between operators who follow the rules and those, let's face it, who don't. So for businesses, it's a reminder to keep compliance front and center. For investors, it's a signal that Washington is finally turning its firepower on the illicit market. And for reform advocates, it could be one more brick in the foundation of a long-term federal reform solution, which is good because I view this as a positive based on this hearing this week by Congress. So saying that, that's it for our latest TDR Cannabis in 5 presented by Dutchie. I'm your host, Shad Dales. As usual, if you like this breakdown, make sure to give it a like, subscribe, and smash on that bell for all notifications, and stay connected as we get more news as to what this hearing is going to be all about and really what it means for cannabis reform, something we know that we want an announcement right now. But like I've said before, gotta be patient. Enjoy the rest of your day, and like I always say, stay open-minded, stay connected, and I'll see you in the next video. I'm your host, Shad Dales, and again, thanks for watching, everyone. Take care.